About a couple minutes after now. Well, welcome back to our YouTube live chat on the biomechanics of golf. Again, my name is Vance Farino. I am an exercise physiologist and golf performance specialist with the Cliffs. Today, we're going to be finishing up our 5-part series on the biomechanics of golf. We started out with the feet. We talked about the role of the feet, getting us set into the ground where the feet are very, very active. Through our feet, we now can load these big hip and pelvis. Rotational power is generated. That rotational power has got to get somehow to the hands and to the club, and it does it via the spine. So as the spine starts taking all that torque and running it through, we talked about the role of the shoulders to be able to get into proper position, proper turning, how the shoulders, shoulder blades, and that thoracic, that middle part of your spine all work together. Today we're talking about wrists and hands, and it's basically the end of the whip. So everything has been loaded, and as you start unloading it, this is the whip. You're going to be taking that club and unloading. The wrists and the hands are going to be a little bit easier to cover as far as general. Some of the topics we're talking on the hips and spine, a little bit more detailed, a little bit more complex. Wrist and hands is pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do is to start, and if you could do this, you could do it with me if you like, is when we're going to assess somebody, you just want to see what can their wrist do. If somebody has restrictions in their wrist, there could be a problem with that, and we'd want to find out. Like if somebody's coming back, we talk about getting that hand to the platter position. People who've had breaks or injuries, all of a sudden they lose some of that motion. And if it's something structural, we can't fix, we work around. If it's something that's more soft tissue related, we have some techniques, we'll touch on those and which to improve that. So a simple test is to be able to hold your hands out. I'm going to turn, I think this way might show better. And with both views, I'm looking at both. Can they flex their wrist down? So we need this to be able to get to about 65 degrees down and then back up. So again, do they have that motion? Sometimes we'll see people that come, and then one might go all the way, but the other one's blocked for whatever reason. The other thing we look to do is, and again, I think I'll turn to the camera on this particular, is elbows at my side. Can I supinate the hand? And can I pronate the hand? Can I get this, do my wrists, do the forearms? Can they create that motion? And the other one is with my wrists back flat. This is just an up and down motion. Do I have the ability to create that kind of wrist motion? It's called radial and ulnar deviation motions. So once we've assessed and said, okay, that's not a problem, or that is a problem, then we can go from there. Now, if we do have some people with restrictions, we can start going through some soft tissue manipulation with that. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about why grip matters, not just for golf, but in life, and then we'll touch on some of the soft tissue. So grip strength has actually been associated with longevity. They find people with stronger grips tend to live longer. Now, it doesn't mean you can lay back on your lazy boy chair with your Fritos and your big gulp soda and just squeeze a hand, one of those hand clamps and try to strengthen your hand. It generally means that people who are active tend to have stronger hands, but it's important to have strong hands for many reasons, besides opening the mayonnaise jar. But there's a lot of good things we can do for strengthening the hands, and again, we're going to touch on that. So what happens is somebody comes in and we assess and we look and say, okay, there's some issues, you're not getting the motion in your wrist you like. There's different techniques we can use to do that. So one of the things we'll do, and we talked in other videos about soft tissue, is just using something like a lacrosse ball. So I can find within this restricted tissue where that is, and we teach techniques where I can use this ball to basically self-massage. I'm going to manipulate that tissue, and I can do a variety of techniques to get this tissue to open up. And once I kind of start working on releasing it, we go into some stretch positions. And the stretch positions are simply like this. So again, using the wall, I'm just going to take my hand, and I can just start out with my fingers pointing up kind of 12 o'clock, and I'm just going to kind of lean in there. Just have this about shoulder height. I just should feel a little bit of gentle stretch here. Then what I like to do is I just take my hand and I just work around the clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and just kind of make my way down. And I'm going to hold it. Now, generally, whatever position I'm in, I'll work as far around as I can. The goal is to get the palm flat to the wall to whatever you can. Again, you're not forcing this. And once there, oftentimes I'll just try to generate force from different angles by just gently gliding. So as I glide around, I get that. Of course, I can do the same on the back side. I can get to what are called your extensors. and just try to working through to make sure that I have some of that motion that I desire, that I need, again, just for, beyond my golf swing, but even just for general life. Now, where golf is concerned, once we've got that person and we're building that back up, a lot of times we'll turn it into part of their backswing. So a stretch for the chest, oftentimes, as we come in through here to get a rotational stretch all through this whole core. But then we can tie that back in, where I can take that hand, press it to the wall, get that, and now I'm tying all this right in through my whole chest and shoulders, and I can integrate that motion in to however I'm going to make my golf turn. And again, so there's a lot of ways we can play with that. For those of you who have used a true stretch, there are times where positions on the bars, I can position fingers on the bars to gently start opening up as well, and so forth. So, okay. So once we've start working through our range of motion, of course, we're coming into strength. Now, strength, there's a lot of ways. You have what are called the intrinsic muscles of the hands, and those are really within the hand. And then you have the extrinsic muscles that run through the forearm that help control the hand and the wrist. And we want to strengthen both. I don't have every tool for that in front of me, but something as simple as putty and just squeezing putty. And they have putties of all different varying densities. So you can start with an easy putty, and you're squeezing it. You're driving your thumb into it and your fingers, and just slowly working where you're going to create some of that finger strength. They have little finger spring type of things and devices to work on things of that nature as well. Now, when we start going a little bit more into just general grip, more of those extrinsic muscles, anything we can do that would carry something heavy, they're called farm carries. So finding an implement that challenges you to carry. Now, again, this is a good postural drill as well, because this wants to pull me. Where my hand is concerned, if I find something that's going to challenge my grip, I just carry that back and forth as a way of strengthening my overall grasp. For those of you who are working out and tend to do any of your cable pulls and so forth, we tend to, this is the traditional grip. Now, again, this is one set size. So what I'd encourage you to do is mix that up. If you're going to do any of your pulling exercises, you change over, use a rope, and then on the rope, it has the knot at the end. You don't always want to anchor the knot. If you can get to the center of the rope and squeeze, crush on that. You can play with your fingers a little bit by just holding it, with just a couple of fingers, full grip, and mixing that up as well. Towels, oftentimes for grip strength, for things we're trying to do on the grip, we'll use a towel. Now I can take the towel, set it through the handle if I have my cable system, and I'm going to do all my pulling exercises using a towel grip. We talked about the farmer carry with the kettlebell. Same thing, I could take the towel, I feed it through my kettlebell, take my grip position, and again, I could just walk and carry using this. I could do any kind of a rowing or pulling motion, of course, as well, using the towel. Another great exercise for just overall grip strength is something called dead hanging. And dead hanging can be done in a few ways. Now, downstairs in our wellness center, and most of all the wellness centers, they have the weight stack machine, the cable system. And they have the handles up top. And just finding the handle and just being able to hold. Now, you might not be able to hold your entire body weight at one time. So you can let your feet kind of touch onto the ground or on a chair and just try to hang as much weight as you can tolerate. In time, if you can hang your entire body weight, just dead hang, it's a wonderful thing for grip strength, but it's also a wonderful thing to decompress the spine and to open up all that fascia and connective tissue as well. We start getting a little bit more just specific into wrists and forearms. Again, we use dumbbells, this is just a very fundamental, we call it a wrist curl. This creates wrist flexion. And we can do something for wrist extension. We also have a tool here, and this is oftentimes we have taught this with just hammers, getting a hammer and being able to create. We talked about testing this motion. I can strengthen that motion by driving the hammer, if you will, or this particular device, where I'm going to just move that back and forth. I could also work from the other side here. See if my camera will capture that, and just kind of work through those muscles. And again, take this, driving it back and forth for the rotational piece. We call this pronating and supinating, and then also a figure eight motion. So now our goal is to try to hit all the muscles through the wrist and the hands, all these forearm muscles, in as many ways as possible. So just find a variety of different things to do. If one day you're going to be doing your pulls with the towel, next time try the rope and then go back to the regular grip. On the regular grip, you could even just use a finger. Now, again, if I'm using heavier loads, might need my full grip, but you can drop the load a little bit and then pull just with your fingertips. Lock in and just try to use a few fingers at a time as you're trying to test that, just so you can kind of strengthen through those different parameters. We'll do a follow-up video to this. It's going to be hard, again, relative to how our camera's set up. We can only kind of discuss some of these ideas. I'm going to put them into action in a follow-up video. So we've been having some of the follow-up videos on how to stretch your grips, how to strengthen, and so forth. And there'll be some more of those coming out. But we will put one together covering grip strength and what we can do about trying to strengthen that grip through some of these variety of techniques. Injuries. I want to talk a little bit about injuries. So most people have heard of tennis elbow, which tends to be up to this extensive portion here. Golfer's elbow tends to be a little bit more inside. Having stronger forearms and wrists definitely offsets the potential of getting injured. Not to say that you can't. If you're catching shots heavy, if you're releasing your club awkwardly, you still can get some repetitive stress injuries. But generally, the stronger these muscles are, the less chance you're going to have of having those type of injuries. So again, having that strength throughout this region and into your hands can matter as far as reducing some of those injuries that we see some of the golfers coming in with. Okay, that's pretty much our talk for today. Again, a little bit shorter than normal, but does anybody have any questions regarding hand and wrist strength? I'll just take a look to see if anything pops up. Not seeing any questions come online right now. So again, I want to thank you so much for your time, for coming out to listening to these. For those of you who are here listening live, for those of you who might listen to it a little bit later, again, please comment, please email. Don't hesitate to reach out for content, for what you think might be good ideas for some new content, for how we could make these better. Is always a good thing. We like to go back. I do plan on going back and looking at these other videos and seeing how we can improve them, and maybe just reshoot some of those where we have a few more implementation that we were not able to do during this live feed. But again, thank you so much for your time, and we will see you soon.